Okay, it's Search Warrant and we're live. We've got, you can listen to us on Rumble, LinkedIn, YouTube. You can watch us on those three, and then you can listen to us on audio uh, outlets as well. Who do we have today? We've got Jen Nizza, ex Psychic Saved, as a special guest, and Glenn Fogarty as a special guest. As co-host, we have um, Jake Jacobs, Philadelphia Homicide Detective Jake Jacobs, part of the officer involved shooting unit, and we've got veteran NCIS Special Agent Greg Highlands, who's basking in the sun in Tennessee.
Yes,
Greg,
indeed. That's right.
what is the degrees down there, by the way?
I think it's pretty cold today. It's 44. It was in the 20s this morning. We had a beautiful weekend that was up in the 70s here. And then we got snow on Monday, so that kind of ruined it all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's uh, bring Jen up. Jen Nisa. Jen, nice to
Hey,
see you. Nice to see you.
good to see you guys always.
Yeah. Uh, those, I can't believe you're new. Those of you that are not familiar with Jen Nisa, it's just insane that you would, first of all, you would be are not familiar with her, but she's ex psychic saved and she's an author and, really puts things in perspective if we're all fighting that battle. And she's doing a hell of a job as a warrior for that battle. I, and every day in a different way.
Mhm.
So,
That's for
but
sure.
I want to show this video. I came across this video on TikTok, and I immediately thought, this is right up Jen's alley. I mean, this is right up her fight, and should be right up all of our fights. Can
Mhm.
we, Bill? Can we run that TikTok video, please?
Jesus Christ, and it changed my entire life. At the time, I was in New Age, practicing New Age. I had been since I was a little kid. I had spirit guides that I was talking to and communicating with. I was a part of the LGBTQ plus community, living a gay lifestyle, leading people to a gay lifestyle. I was crazy, having sex with so many random people. I did not view myself with any sort of respect. I thought that smoking weed and doing mushrooms was going to unlock the secrets of the universe. And I believed I was an alien from a different universe. I also believed that having sex with people was unlocking something sacred. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is true power that comes from witchcraft, that comes from the New Age. There is true power in all of that. It's just not the holy power, that is who I met on the night of December 17th, 2023. And since then, I've been on a journey with Jesus. And when I tell you, it has been the most incredible and most difficult 2 years of my entire life. People that tell you when you meet Jesus, your life is going to be rainbows and butterflies, that's a complete lie. And walking with Jesus is sacrificial. Walking with Jesus is very narrow, and you no longer live for yourself. I no longer live for Gracie's desires, and I live the way that Jesus instructed all of us to live, and I live in accordance to his instructions. And I know some people get a little, I used to be like, you need to obey. It's like, yo, what are we saying? That word's a little triggering, but when you actually meet Jesus and you experience his love, you experience the fact that he God the Father loved us so much, he gave Jesus, his son, to live a life for us here on earth that none of us could live. And he endured the worst possible death that he didn't deserve. But because he was thinking about me on the cross, he was thinking about you on the cross, he was thinking about every single person on the cross, he died for us. And not only did he die, he freaking rose. Defeated death, broke the old covenant, so now each of us have access to the literal creator of the universe here, which is insane. So I just want to say, yes, when you decide to follow Jesus truly with your heart, and you are gifted the beautiful gift of the Holy Spirit, not any spirit, not the spirit guides I was talking to, which I now know were demons, not, your higher self talking to you. Those are all different spirits, but Jesus gave us the Holy Spirit, the holiest Spirit, who knows the heart of the Creator, God, Yahweh, the Father. So when you receive the Holy Spirit, and he will start to reveal things to you, when you start seeking after Jesus out of pure love, out of a pure heart, an innocent heart, he will start to change the desires in your heart. He starts to renew your mind, guys. I do not look at women, because I was somebody from a young age, from like 6 years old, when I saw lesbian porn, when I started finding out what masturbation was, when I started secretly sneaking into rooms with my friends and kissing them. That corrupted my view not only of sex and not even intimacy, it was just perversion. Not only that, it totally screwed up my view of female relationships and friendships. I could not have real, genuine friendships.
I believe that's the end of the video, Bill.
Okay, that's the end of that video. But when I saw that, I immediately thought of Jen and her ability to communicate with the younger generation too. So, for the benefit of Jennifer not knowing Glenn and Glenn not knowing Jennifer, you're a pair in a sense that you've got strong views on on certain items. Glenn has very strong views on items. He's in New Jersey, right? You're still in New Jersey. You haven't been kicked out of New Jersey.
Yeah, right here in the United States.
Okay. Rahway, New Jersey.
No, I'm not in Rahway. Don't condemn me to that town.
Oh. And then we've got Jen, who's from Long Island, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have very strong opinions, both of you. I know from listening to Glenn, as Greg and Jake will tell you, he's visited the dark side here.
Oh,
but
hell
he's
yeah.
been back. But he's come back alive. Thank God.
Yeah.
So Glenn, I'm wondering how you. I mean, Jen has done a masterful job of bringing this to the light of young people and people in the establishment, and her books are incredible. And she's been on numerous podcasts, which tell you really what's happening. My question is, have you had a chance to see the inner workings of basically we're in a war versus good versus evil? You've seen it up close, Glenn, have you not?
Absolutely.
Much like Jen has.
Yeah, it's definitely a war. I mean, at every corner you turn, you experience good versus evil. It could be a random opportunity. It could be something you're walking into. It could be, as they call it, existential. But yes, it's definitely it's a war of good and evil, and I have a good feeling though that we're winning that war now. That good is starting to prevail, because as you look at world events and things that are going on, if we rewound 3 years ago, people were absolutely berserk. They were nuts. They were completely backwards. What was right was now wrong. What was wrong is now right. They were being, I guess, essentially seduced by media, by entertainers and everything, and led to believe that this is the right thing to do now, not what the past was. And they condemned everything that brought us to where we're at today, which we wouldn't have if it hadn't existed at that time. Now that the whole world is changing in some way, shape, and form through a series of events in which, John, did you want to ask me something?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, no, it's just that through a series of events, sometimes consider it tough love or something like that, or everybody always used to scream, "Where's your proof? Where's your proof?" Well, here's your proof. It exists. And like we're in the current situation with Iran. For 40 years of our life, we were told, just they're a sovereign nation, they're very peaceful people, and blah, blah, blah. And now we have to go to war with them. And what they did was show their true face. When you actually confront evil and you take it on, it literally has a temper tantrum or desperation, and it starts launching missiles at every other neighbor that it, in a prior time period would have been their friend or fake friends, and so on and so forth. So something like that is something more of the current media that gives you an example of what I'm talking about, that the proof needs to be proven. And now everything that we knew 3, 4, 5 years ago that was completely violating common sense and backwards is now coming to light as being that, we must have had a brain fart or something at that time period, and this is the right way to do things. So
yeah, well, Jen is attacking this on several levels, several different levels. It's amazing how the media has an impact with her, particularly with her in the mainstream media. Although we'd love to see the mainstream media have a bigger impact on the good and evil part of the thing. Jen, now you had a project in the works. Where do you stand on that right now?
Yeah, I think we spoke about that the last time I was here. So I am happy to report that the short film that we filmed it in November down in Virginia Beach, and it's a short film based on my story. And God gave me this assignment over 2 years ago, John, and I didn't know what it all meant then. And over the course of time, I just, whenever, the Lord directed me to add to the documents, to write more about it, having meetings, so on and so forth, and then just praying, and then time would pass. And then in his time and his way, and with the people he chose, he swung that door wide open to make this short movie, which is going to expose psychic mediumship for what it really is. And when I tell you, I'm still blown away just kind of stepping outside of it and looking, when you connect the dots of how the Lord brought everything together and who he brought on. And if this thing hadn't happened, then this person wouldn't be. And I'm just honestly, and I'm blown away. And a revelation that I had from the Lord was that, why this way? Why do this? I had no education or desire to do anything with film. It's another platform. It's another platform to speak truth, to combat the lies that we see in cinema right? I mean, I make a big deal. We saw Wicked 2 come out. I'm very passionate talking about these films, and they're talking about good witchcraft. And how many films? Tarot was a film, tarot cards, right? Ouija boards. You have the darkness,
Yeah.
you have the devils in all of these films. And so now it's like, well, now what are we going to do as the church, right? We need to step into that battlefield. You're talking about battle, right? We need to step into that battlefield and combat those lies with the truth of Christ and the true
Yeah.
light. Yeah. Oh,
Well,
sorry.
we previously touched on the Super Bowl highlighter from last year.
Mhm.
And as soon as they came out with this guy this year, it all hit us, flat in the forehead. Geez, and then another guy espousing the things that we don't want to, we don't want to advertise.
Mm.
I mean, obviously, Greg and Jake. I mean, one of the things that we first thought of was Jen when they came out with the halftime highlights, right?
That's right.
Who would be?
Yep.
I mean,
Bad
that
Bunny?
guy.
Bad Bunny?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Certainly.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you fight that? I mean, you got one side fighting, yeah, good and evil. How do you fight something that has that corporate background? I mean, can't they?
Mm.
Isn't blatant? Don't they know that?
Oh,
Well-
they know it by far. They know it.
Yeah.
What about the one where the guy was doing another guy right on the stage? I don't know if that was Super Bowl because I gave up watching the No Fun League years, when they started that kneeling stuff. But you had this guy, I think his name was Little Nasty Guy, doing another guy on a stage during a performance. I mean, isn't that blatantly demonic?
Oh,
I mean,
100%. And that's why they do it on stage too. They perform these rituals. They'll do witchcraft. This is to plant the seeds from the evil one into the minds of masses of people. And they're doing this. Maybe that was, Little Nas X, maybe that was.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Oh, he's a repeat offender. He's a repeat
Correct.
offender. But you
Yeah.
see
And,
these
you
people
know-
in the industry doing this, with their concerts and their Grammy Awards and all these ceremonies. Very interesting, right? Ceremonies, right? You know.
Yeah, my sister, she's very big on that symbolisms and things like that.
Mhm.
And I'm not off on that road, okay, but I do hear it from her, and sometimes she'll point things out like that and talks about how there's rituals like that Taylor Swift girl or other people like her going backstage doing all sorts of
Mhm.
rituals before the show begins. I think it was also that Goo Goo Girl, whatever. No, I'm sorry, Lady Gaga.
Yep.
Another one like that. And then you look at the corporate logos and you look at the things that they put in commercials or on TV, and they just keep bombarding you nonstop 24/7 with every symbol under the sun. Eventually, somebody's going to start to go through what I call power of suggestion. And you start putting doubt in people's minds of what's right and what's wrong.
Mhm.
And that's where we're at today because of all these medias and these entertainers and sporting events that they say, you have to watch the Super Bowl. You're a nobody if you're not a part of it. Don't be the uncool guy. Make sure you're at the bar watching that screen at the time that we're going to have this show of whatever that guy was at the last Super Bowl show doing his demonic stuff.
Mm.
And if you keep doing that, then that's what's going to happen. You're going to get that power of suggestion.
Yeah, that manipulation. Yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
If it's okay to say, I just wanted to go back a moment, with the film. I just wanted to let you know, because it was one part I let out. I forgot. I left out. Okay. When you haven't finished your coffee, so things happen.
I'm ahead of you.
Yeah, a little bit. I wanted to let everybody know that it's currently being voted for by the Angel Studios Guild right now. So if anybody's a guild member, you can go into Short Torches. I don't know if I sent you the direct link, John, but there is a direct link. If you're a guild member, it will take you right to Out of the Shadows. That's the name of the film, Out of the Shadows. And of course, the idea is to create a feature film from this
Bill,
torch.
can we bring that up, please? The Angel Guild, Angel Studios. It's right the first thing, right? Isn't it?
Oh, he needs the link.
Hang on, Bill.
But
Angel.
this answers that the question you were saying before, when you have corporations and everything. So how can you come up against these strongholds, against these, against the world, really is what we're saying, right? Because we know the devil has his power here. We know his demons have powers here. And the Bible tells us that, so what do? We keep telling the truth. We keep exposing the fruitless deeds of darkness and not partnering with them. And that, I have to say, is the one good thing that about social media, and because there's not many, things like this, is that we as Christians can step into this too, and we are. And we, just like that young lady, that TikTok, we're using TikTok, we're using podcasts, we're using, Instagram, YouTube, movies, we're getting in there, but we need to be courageous and really tell the truth about it, because what I notice is sometimes, it can be very easy to shy away from the dark parts of it. And we can't do that. We have to be the ones educating, defining the very things that people are seeing in their CVS, in their Barnes and Noble, the tarot cards, the Ouija boards, the psychic readers, the power. We have to be the ones to expose those things and define those things correctly, biblically, and warn people. And I would just encourage the church to be bold and to talk about, don't be afraid to talk about the dark things, because we know that the one true light of the world, Jesus Christ, has overcome the evil one. And we want to point people to the Lord Jesus so that they too would be discerning and understand what they're being exposed to on a regular basis, because they could have no TV, but like I said, they could go to CVS and look at chakra candles and have no idea what it means, because they're pretty and they're offering you things. They're offering you peace. They're offering you confidence to the teenagers, right? Manifesting, and it presents as beautiful and healing. It doesn't present as Bad Bunny or Lady Gaga on the stage, because that's blatantly evil looking, okay? But we have to talk, but the new age disguises itself as 2 Corinthians 11:14-15 tells us. Satan masquerades as an angel of light, right? So he wears that mask. And that's what we see in the new age practices, ideologies, concepts. And then the enemy uses these people like Swift and everybody else as a vessel to put those ideas, as you said, into people's heads.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, I sent you that. Can you show that website, please? I don't know how we forgot that. Unfortunately,
it's funny, Jen. You bring up ceremonies and fighting. Well, I'll let you go through this first, and then I'll make my point.
Was that the link, John?
no, it's the guild.
I do not see one for the guild. I apologize.
Okay,
I
well,
just see that.
Bill,
While you guys do that real quick, I want to point out to her that you have allies in this
Angel
fight
Guild
with your film.
exclusive
Okay,
video.
I'm going to hold this up. I'm with this foundation. It's called the Tree of Life.
Oh, cool.
Okay, now this is a very powerful organization, and all those are partners to it in every kind of business. Okay, and it is exactly the thing that you're saying, is that it's not just the media and things like that we have to take on. It's the politicians, it's
Mm-hmm.
the governments, it's the oligarchs, and everybody in between, including those celebrities, which are being controlled by those oligarchs. So when you partner with what you're saying with your Angel Foundation, I think it was called, or you mentioned it earlier. Sorry.
Well, it's Angel Studios. They're
Angel
great.
Studios.
Yeah, they put out, films and shows and
Pretty significant deal. It's
Right.
nation worldwide.
Yeah, there
It's
you go.
significant.
you do
Sorry,
have to be a guild member to vote. So that's
Right.
important to say. But you know what? It's great. Like the app is free. And then it's like, instead of having a Netflix, instead of having, I don't know what else is out there, some of these other things, it's $12 a month. But I would never ask anybody to spend $12 to, just to vote or whatever. I will say that it's a pretty cool process, though. I've been voting for projects. It's a very cool idea.
Well,
so get on there and vote. If you're listening,
you're not paying
to
to vote. You're paying to keep the service going, is what it is. Because you have the companies like this, they have to maintain servers, buy equipment, and things like that, and staff to spend the time to put things together. That would basically justify the $12 a month.
100%.
So it's, in a sense, you're not really paying to vote. You're paying to use the service. Maybe if they want to bring that to attention, in case anybody does question, do I have to pay $12 to vote?
That was great.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well, the point I wanted to bring up, I know, Jen, you talked about social media and all these kinds of ways that we can fight, but you brought up a ceremony. And this past weekend, the masses had a ceremony, a film type ceremony called the Oscars. You get the Oscars.
Is that still around? Anybody watch that anymore?
Well, I guess it's still their way of getting the message, because what was the movie and the actor that they put out there? It was called Sinners.
Yep. My friend just told me about this.
Right. So that's the movie. So it's whether it's subliminal, pushed in your face, lights flashing, or whatever the case may be, it's continually done. And everyone knows when you win that Oscar, that top Oscar, Best Picture, Best Actor, and things of that nature, well, then what's going to happen with Sinners? It's going to be on everything. It's going to get pushed to the front. Right. Now, I haven't seen Sinners, and I probably am not going to ever see it, to be honest with you. But it's the fact that a title such as the name Sinners is what we are, complimenting or praising, so to speak.
I don't know that much about the movie. I'm definitely going to look into it, though.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. But my friend did mention that I guess the actor won an award, maybe the lead actor in it. Okay. But I don't know anything, so I don't want to speak on it because I don't know. But I'll check it out.
What's the film again, Jake? What's the name of it?
Sinners. It's called Sinners. They won Best Actor for a movie title.
I think it's really important to get Jen's perspective. The battle that she's fighting, that we should all be fighting. But what would you suggest as a young family to fight inroads that evil is trying to get to you, get into your family? What would you suggest to protect your family?
Well, it's going to be an issue between parents and children, because you're going to have to either take away or don't even let them get on social media until a certain age. Certainly monitor what they're looking at, what they're watching, who they're listening to, who they're spending time with. They may go to little Susie's house or whatever, and they have a Ouija board there, and they're going for a sleepover, and they never heard of it. That you have to speak to your children. Also, you have to educate them biblically Meet them where they're at, though, of course, an age appropriate conversation about these things, and stay in the know yourself and be discerning and be praying, you
Yeah.
know, protect your family through prayer. Ask the Lord, Psalm 91, to commission his angels concerning you, your household, your children. But be on top of it. Kids might be like, well, so and so is going to Taylor Swift. Why can't I? Why are you acting this way? And the enemy loves to create that strife in families. But you have to stand firm because you're called to be their parent and guard them and protect them, not their buddy, not their bestie. But you have to know about it, right, John? So we
Right.
need people to continue to talk about this. We need the church to be talking about it. And we, of course, ourselves need to be reading our Bible daily so that we know.
Yeah, I can see Greg with a big stick over his kids, but they're bigger than him. They're pretty
Yeah,
big now.
the youngest
They're big
youngest is
now.
lives in the gym now, and he could definitely take me now. So I'm yeah, it's over. I grew up on the other side of this. I grew up in a Christian school. We weren't allowed to go to the movie theater. You weren't allowed to wear blue jeans. You couldn't listen to rock music. Your hair had to be cut an inch above your collar. And I look back on those days and I thought, oh, wow, how horrible it was when I was growing up through it. But I totally get it now. Because these kids today, so if they're into gaming, they get a Discord channel, and then they get preyed on Discord. And I don't know what Roblox is. I'm just hearing about it within the last couple of weeks. They're getting preyed on. It's some kind of gaming social platform. They just every aspect of their lives now is just seeping into it. They go to school, they go to public school, and they're not getting taught anything, but they're getting taught all the stuff that you don't want them to get taught. So I think it'd be really hard to raise a family unless you just pack it in and move someplace that's really remote and teach your kids, homeschool them.
Well, Greg, to that point, I mean, you got states out there who don't want the kids to be able to communicate with their parents about being taught transgender stuff in the schools. So, you talk about divisiveness and strife. Well, now you got teacher X over here, mom over here. The student loves teacher X because she's playing and paints and all that kind of stuff, but he's teaching her how to be transgender or something like that lady on TikTok said. And then the kid is torn because he can't go tell his parents. And Greg, like myself, like you just said, we grew up in Christian households. I went to church almost when I wasn't in church on the weekends, it was Bible study during the week. It was all you couldn't play basketball unless you went to Bible study. So you wanted to have that treat of playing sports, which is another thing we don't do. We're not athletic because we're on these discords and things of that nature, learning this nonsense, and we're isolated. So you're right, which is unfortunate. So we got to go move in the middle of somewhere, be homeschooled,
What?
and not
Yeah, well,
say
of course.
anything to anybody.
Feel it before.
I'm sorry, John? So I don't know what the answer is. It's like you said, Greg, I agree. Unfortunately, your answer seems like it's the best one right now, which is you got to take your family, hold them close, and teach them yourself. Because you're sending them out there to these darn wolves.
Yeah,
It's been an affront to. There's been an attack on Christianity. One is that depending on what camp you're in, whether your doctrine, they're all vicious to each other in Christianity, but then you have the world also just pushing it away from every facet of society. Jen brought up great points that you got to educate your children, get them to church and things like that, so that they know. I mean, and I will say, even though that I grew up in the Christian school and in the church, I definitely had my rebellious phase where I totally threw it to the side. But when the rubber hit the road and I hit hard times, I went right back to it. So those things that I was taught, like Jen was saying, if I hadn't been taught those things, I might have went another route.
Mhm.
So you really kind of have to, get them that training and whether it be teaching them to pray or read the Bible or seek out somebody who is more qualified than them, like whether it's a pastor or
Mhm.
a elder of the church or their parents, hopefully it's their parents, to get that guidance and that mentorship.
You're touching on the right thing. The source of the problem is the parent, because they first have to train the child to be able to identify that this is
Mhm.
an attack upon their Christianity. I mean, since the 70s, we've been undergoing this complete attack on the nucleus family. The big push for abortion and everything else, and you don't need a family. Be single, be free. It's all about you. Your happiness matters more. This is what they were bombarded with. So if you catch the children at an early age and teach them the difference between right and wrong, and good versus evil, Christ versus the devil, and so on and so forth, that by the time they do reach this social media, which is pretty much what we might have experienced, Greg and I being around the same age, and you too, Jake. And John, you're way too old for this, but we would get bombarded. I'm just teasing you, John. We would get bombarded with, the Bible, as I used to call them, the Bible thumpers. Okay, you go walking through a park and suddenly somebody's trying to hand you a Bible and saying you got to get with God. And then you had the born again Christians that are trying to drive demons from you. Okay, I get it. That might be a little too overboard, but that was the obviousness of the Christianity trying to reach out to people, and that was the volume. It was an occasional thing. Today with social media, that's the same thing on complete nitrous oxide, steroids, however you want to call it. That within 5 seconds of getting on the internet, you're learning all the bad words that you were told as a kid are, what they really mean. You're being shown pictures that kids like me had to dive through dumps to find, magazines of, that the wives threw out. You guys know what I'm talking about. And things like that. They get it within 5 seconds. So as a parent, they have to catch it early so that by the time they get to that point and that, avalanche hits them, they could block it and say, okay, I'm not listening to this. I'm not listening to that. This seems to be okay. And to your point, Greg, you just learned about roadblocks. I've been hearing about it for a long time. Okay. I've got an expert, if you ever want to talk to about that, that's making $8,000 a month on there, but combating exactly what you're talking about, where it's nothing but predators, people, being fake. Like I've been involved with a digital world for over 25 years. I started out with this one called Second Life. Okay. And what it basically was a digital version of yourself in which you could live your whole life. The problem is all those fake people are in there. So it was determined that 50% of the people you're talking to weren't their correct gender. And it actually affected people's real lives. Now it's trickled into things like Roadblocks, Minecraft, and these other video games. It's the same environment, just under a different disguise. So yeah,
Right.
parenting is the number one source of where it needs to be addressed.
Can I just mention, if it's okay, we're facing another problem, and it's people that are professing, I'll say belief in Jesus, but I mean we know the demons believe in Jesus, and practicing witchcraft, psychic mediumship, or enabling those who do. And this was something that just happened recently, and I made a video about it for Instagram. I had told you about it, John. I think I did. Jelly Roll is a musician, and his wife is Bunny XO. I mean, the names, but whatever. And somebody, people send me, like all the little whistleblowers. They send me videos, and they're like, "Jen, can you believe this thing happened?" Bunny interviewed Teresa Caputo, who is the Long Island medium, and defends it and likens it to spiritual gifts or gifts of the spirit. Now I can understand. Now they profess to be baby believers. I can't sit here and say who's saved and who's not saved. That's not my authority or my right to do that. But I can say this: that is not a gift of the Spirit, and that is super confusing. And her book, she just wrote a book, and apparently, I mean, you could fact check me because I just heard this from a friend today, so don't maybe quote me, but that it was number one, I think, in audio on the New York Times bestseller, and number two in the print of it, about her relationship with Jesus. But here she is, and I mean, clapping back at any Christian who states, hey, listen, out of love and kindness, this is, divination, Deuteronomy 18:10-12. And she just claps back at it. And I love my witchy girls. And that. If you're a baby Christian, stay off of social media with psychic mediumship. Go to your pastor, right? Go to your pastor, find out about this thing, find out about this topic, share nothing more than your testimony. But look how confusing that is to people who maybe saw some sort of transformation or like their music or whatever. Same thing with people that call themselves Christians, psychics, or witches. And these are not blatantly evil looking people. They're just not. They're pretty. They're pretty. They're fun. They have cool personalities. That's extremely deceptive. Well, that's how the enemy does it. But that's a huge problem in our world and in the church. It's a huge problem.
It reminds me of that movie, The Devil's Advocate.
I remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
There was. What was that? Al Pacino?
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves, right?
Keanu Reeves, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Good movie.
It's just, I don't know. It doesn't even seem, you say this lady claps, I don't know her, claps back hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, is the church clapping back publicly enough, against all this stuff? This stuff it's like a scourge across the world. And I don't hear the church, in my opinion, clapping back against it. I mean, I hear the Pope talk about certain things, but not this. And I think this is way more important than some of the things he discussed. And the last Pope also. And
the last one was not a Pope. The last one was a piece of dog. Dude,
yeah, I
he was
agree.
an installed puppet that was not properly installed, and he was nothing but a commie. And
you want to know why Benedict was removed? You want to know why Benedict was removed, and he replaced him, and now you want to know what Leo is going to do. And when Leo was chosen, I had all of the faith in the world that it would be a change, especially coming from the last.
I agree.
Pope.
We had a lot of hope.
Yes, for this Pope. I'll finish around, but I don't see it. I still see more of what Jen's talking about than what needs to be done. And Jen, you could correct me if I'm wrong, and also Greg too, because I know you follow this an awful lot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I totally agree. I think that the church needs to stand up and speak up way more about this. And I think it goes to my point earlier that what holds them back sometimes, I think, is discussing the darkness. And you can't be afraid of that. It's real. It's in the Bible. The Lord explains this. I'm thankful in my church that my pastors talk about spiritual warfare. They know the dangers of yoga. They know what the witches are doing, and they talk about it, and they will talk about it. But that's just my little church here on Long Island. But we need to have a lot more of that. I don't know what you would say, Greg, to that.
We have I call it a smorgasbord of Christianity out there. I mean, I think it really depends on, I do hear some ministers, they go out of their way and talk about it. I grew up, I was depending on who you asked, we were the fundamentalist or Baptist, it was depending which deacon you asked, maybe. And then I married into the Methodist Church. And then recently we went through a discernment process, and we bought ourselves out of the United Methodist Church because of a lot of the stuff that was going on in the church. So we're on our own now. A couple of tabs I opened up before we started today, because the New Testament, I believe, is the only place that talks about spiritual gifts and what they are. And I have grown up with just like I said, just a lot of different forms of Christianity, where some talk in tongues, and then there's rules that go with that, and healing and prophecy, and there's always some kind of discernment process that goes with that in most churches to make sure that these gifts are real gifts and not given from the other side. I think today it's just it's so crazy, because you have there's so many different outlets and people telling you what is normal and what is good. And it's like, after, it gets really like, I don't know how they do it, because everybody's always telling you what to do on social media. You just gotta, like you said earlier, maybe limit the age of what age can a child have access. I know, Glenn had alluded to a little bit ago, like Georgia has blocked Pornhub.
Oh, great.
You have to prove your age and go through a process to get access to that kind of stuff.
But the kids get right around that, though.
Yeah, they're a lot smarter than we are. I'm sure they do get a VPN or something. But that really comes into the parenting to know what your child has. And I can tell you, I made mistakes with the cell phone. I gave cell phones early because I wanted to have an ability to track where my kids were. So that was an easy way to do that. But yeah, it's really hard today, to say the least. Captain Obvious.
Well, Greg, you touched on something too that's important. That also Christianity has its own problem. Okay, and
it does.
One of those problems is that we are too many sects of it. Instead of a united front, everybody wants to have their own little party. So we've got the Pilgrims, we've got the Lutherans, we've got the Protestants, we've got the Catholics, we've got everybody under the sun. But at the same time, as a Catholic, I've lost a lot of faith in the leadership of the Catholic Church. And it all came down to that guy that was a fake piece of dog do. And if you can tell me that all those years of what I was taught was right and wrong, and here you have a guy that's going around sucking the toe jam off of a transsexual in the Vatican and telling me that I have to listen to him, then forget it. I am not going to listen to him. And I didn't believe for 1 minute anything that he had said. So that's the problem with Christianity, is that the Vatican is considered pretty much the spokesperson and the leadership, the guidance of what the others should follow. And it's given such a screwed up message now that all these other sects that are involved, where it's broken into these smaller pieces, they don't know what to do anymore. And it makes it that much harder for us to fight the evil.
Definitely agree.
That's
with
why
what
I Glenn, is because the previous Pope was so bad that we wanted someone different. His messaging was just bad, whether it was the LGBTQ stuff, everything about his messaging was bad. And so we wanted this new Pope. And I just don't see it right now. I'm really hoping he does something more. But some of the stuff that I'm looking at, because I'm watching it, unfortunately. I have to watch it. I just haven't seen it. And it's funny you guys mentioned it, because I never knew what I was going to. I told you guys I went to church all the time. And you're right. If I was with this grandma, I was a Catholic. This grandma, I was a Baptist. To play basketball, I was a Methodist. You're
a jack of all trades in the religion business, aren't you?
It depends on whether you went on a Wednesday or Sunday, what grandmother you went to or grandparent house you was at. So, but the thing was, you still went. You wasn't all this other stuff that they're talking about now. You never heard it. Like, and Greg talked about instilling it early. I still remember one way for a parent to watch. I still remember every time before you went to bed. Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And you had to do that every time before you went to bed. So that's some way that the parents can, oh, why don't you say your prayers before you went to bed?
Right.
And then see why. I don't know if that's the answer. I think it's way more complicated than that. But who knows?
It's definitely a good start.
It is. You have to identify the source of a problem, okay? And the source of the problem, and I'm sorry to say this, I know you have hope in him, Jake, but Leo, as far as I'm concerned, is too political. And I think he may be another just 2.0 version of the previous, but at least he was selected in the proper process, unlike that dog dude that was in there before. And thank God is dead and buried and gone. That's how much I couldn't stand that person. But if he doesn't get political and try to keep the church open to memberships from all like things like the homosexual community, okay, it violates the Bible. How can you take that and accept it in? It's completely violating the laws of the Bible. You know, and if you look at the Islamics, the one thing they'll do is they'll kill them. Now, I'm not saying we should do that, but how are you now allowing them to enter the most sacred of houses of your religion and saying, oh, you know what, let's bend the rules now. And if you start bending it there, you're going to bend it. Next will be at murder's okay, because we think so. It's just okay. And when
your moral compass keeps moving.
Okay, exactly.
And I agree that he is too political. Like I just told you, I've been watching him.
Right.
And then I also go back to where he's from, Chicago, the Chicago area.
Chirac.
So I'm worried, but I have faith, and I have to have faith.
Yeah, we all have the faith, and we have the hope that we're wrong, or we have the hope that he will change and not be political. But up to this date, it's starting to more and more look like he's working for the other side. You know, I would appreciate her opinion more on that one.
I'm going to respectfully not step into the Roman Catholic conversation.
Okay.
Just don't agree with it as a whole. So but I love, and I do believe I have brothers and sisters in Christ there. And, you know, that's all I want to say about that. Remember that pretty picture that just came up a couple seconds ago? Jen Lilly. That was the Out of the Shadows.
Out of the Shadows.
I'm going back in the shadows in a few minutes. No, I can't. Yeah, that's
a great graphic, though.
Isn't it beautiful?
Is.
Yeah,
it very much is.
They did such a fantastic job. Everybody who worked on it. That's Jen Lilly. Everybody should follow her. She is on fire for the Lord, and she couldn't have done a better job if she tried in such a short amount of time, trying to learn my accent, being on set, you know, wanting to do everything and capture this, not only, you know, the story, how it really is. And she just did an amazing job in this film. We don't like the Emmys, but we do have an Emmy nominated award, Emmy nominated. Yeah, my mind is like,
it's my fault. I'm sorry.
No. Director and writer who also is just an absolute pleasure to work with. And my dear friend, Billy Hallowell, co-produced this with me. So thank you so much for sharing it. John, thank you. I appreciate that.
Jen, we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And when we're all up at 100%, we'll ask to have you back if we could, please. Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, guys.
Jen.
It's always fun hanging out with you.
Yes.
Pleasure. Nice meeting you.
Pleasure's mine.
Nice to meet you, and God bless you all.
Same here.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.